Oh no. Oh, there we go. He did one of those things where it was like streaming the picture over and not letting it go. All right. It says we have excellent connection. Now all we have to do is connect to some people. Get started on this.
All right. Mm-hmm. We'll see if the weekend, the 4th of July weekend affects it.
I guess it depends on whether people are traveling to go visit people or not. According to the news, lots of people are traveling by air and by car. So we shall see. Hi, Aaron. How are you? Aaron has joined us. I like that color E. That's a nice color. A couple more people have shown up. Apparently Shay's going to join us today since she's home with her eye. So she sent me a text to let me know she would be joining in our live show today. So she should show up soon.
That kind of sucks. You injure your eye and you don't really know how you did it.
LP says, hello, Siofra. I finally made a live session. So excited. Well, welcome.
Oh,
we're so glad you made it. And right at the start, so that's terrific. Aaron says, we just had a thunderstorm. Ooh. There's a lot of weather back east in our country. I'm assuming Aaron's in our country, but I don't know for sure. But yeah, there's a lot of weather out there. Apparently some people aren't going to have 4th of July fireworks because of the weather. But yeah, I'm sure glad we're not traveling. Except like across town to see my son and his wife who've moved here, yay! And their in-laws, or I guess Heather's parents.
I used to always go see the fireworks shows, but eventually having to deal with the crowds and stuff and traffic trying to get out, yeah, it's not worth it anymore.
No. I like the pretty colors and things, but I don't like the noise. Aaron Jones says Northern Idaho. Okay. Just one state over.
Yeah, we have a lot of overcast out here right now, which is normal for us during the 4th of July on the coast here. It's always overcast.
Yeah, I was thinking about that last week when it was like a clear blue sky, and I was thinking,
I think it's because it gets hot inland and it sucks all the water about 4th of July.
Yeah.
You know, that's when it's real hot in the Medford area. And brings all the water out.
Brings out the fog.
Overcast, yep.
All right. Got 6 people. What do we want to talk about today?
Well, good question.
I've still been working on that Pop-It. I've been doing a lot of research. I'm actually going to do a video about what I'm doing because I decided this one was extensive enough right at the start that it would make a good video subject. Talk about the process I go through in order to decide what I'm putting into a Pop-It and whatnot. Talk about some of the history of how it's used, etc. Why not? Be a good opportunity since I'm doing it right now.
Yeah.
It's easier than dredging up stuff from the past and trying to figure out, how did I do that?
I was thinking we might do an evocation of the guy we evoked first, originally to get us over here to the coast and see if he can help with our back roof.
Ruth says, hi all. Hi, Ruth. And Lulu says, hello. Hello, Lulu. Lulu. Just a tongue twister.
Hi, Jonathan.
Jonathan says, hi, everyone. Nice videos this week. You're welcome. Glad you liked them. Ian worked hard on that one. He had to do a lot of video editing afterwards.
Yeah, it's a little choppy because of the many mistakes I made and had to edit out, but that happens sometimes when you're going out just off the top of your head mostly.
I have more practice with going off the top of my head than you do.
But then I'd read parts of the Barton's book. I was reading it out loud, and then I would forget that I read it and reread it. All kinds of fun stuff.
Well, it's a complicated subject, and it's not a subject everybody is fascinated by, but there's enough people that want to learn about it.
Yeah, and I'll wait. I probably won't go into all the pathways on the Tree of Life unless people find it interesting enough.
Oh, they're going to find it interesting, I'm sure.
We'll see. It's 45 minutes. We'll see how many people
watch it,
go through it if they want to. Yeah, because the paths are a whole nother complicated thing. Yep.
Shay says hello. Hi, Shay.
Hi, Shay.
We knew you were coming. I'm so sorry you hurt your eye, But I'm so glad you get to make it to our live show right from the beginning. Ruth says, I loved the videos.
Cool.
Good. Yay. We don't do it for praise, but there's no point in doing it if nobody likes them. So
True. Very true.
I mean, if what we're sharing is stupid information that nobody's interested in, then why waste our time and effort at it, right?
Yeah.
So, yes.
So it's nice to know people appreciate the stuff. Absolutely.
So we appreciate being appreciated because that encourages us to do more. And one of the things I like about our community is there's such a variety of different types of practitioners out there. And I think that that's awesome.
Well, yeah. I mean, in our home community, there's not that much variety. We live in a place where it's a small town that's very, I don't know, it's not exactly isolated, but it's very not progressive at all. Put it that way.
We actually, my granddaughter ran into a guy wearing a shirt that says 6MWE on it, which apparently is a racist t-shirt, and the numbers and letters stand for 6 million wasn't enough. And he was at our local 7-Eleven across the street. So that was kind of like terrifying. But I'm happy that they're advertising themselves, so if I see them coming, I can turn around and go the other way. I'm one of those people.
That's a good point.
I mean, I'm one of those people that I see something I don't understand or don't know about, I'm likely to ask. And I'm so glad I now know not to ask. What does that mean? Because then I don't know what the heck I would do.
Unfortunately, our area has a whole bunch of white supremacists, and
well, they're all coming out of the woodwork, unfortunately. Yeah, it's going to get worse before it gets better. Hopefully it gets better.
Still appreciate living in a small town better than in a big city like Portland. So
yeah. Jonathan says, I think people might be more interested in the tree after more information on how Crowley applied the Siofra in practice.
Okay.
Helpy says, Siofra, we have a neighbor who habitually drives drunk. We have a lot of young children here. We're concerned. We're doing all we can via police, but it's not helping. Any ideas? What would you do? Yeah. Yeah, so magically speaking, I'm not sure exactly what you can do except put up boards and try and put some protection up there. Some kind of a barrier spell or whatever that makes somebody feel uncomfortable when they drive through it if they've been drinking, maybe?
Yeah, that would probably be what I would recommend, would be something like that. Maybe they get hit with overwhelming fear or something when they go through. I don't know. It's tough because if somebody's drunk, it's going to be that much harder to get through to them with anything
That's the
magical.
problem.
Yeah.
Is because when they're drunk, they're not like there. Maybe you can do something to help the police do more, support them somehow, on a magical level.
I don't know. I'd come up with something. But
Yeah.
I'm not sure what it would be off the top of my head. Like I say,
You have to think it through and try and think of what different kinds of things
Just
that you
try
have available
keep
that
them
you
out
do.
of the area or something, or
Yes, do a whole bunch of hot foot powder around the community, and I don't know. It's terrifying.
make them move across town or something.
Well, if they're just coming through the area, if you know where they live, maybe
Of course,
there's
that's
more.
just moving the problem.
Right, and
That's
I
the
worry
whole
about that.
Not in my backyard thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And right now around here, we had somebody was police chase through the entire county, going over 100 miles an hour, almost causing 10 different accidents. And they finally caught up to him, and then they gave him a ticket and let him go because they're not putting them in jail. So getting them off the street seems to be very difficult right now. Okay, so Moonfire Dawn says, I just finished the Unfortunate's Applied Magic, and she mentioned a lot about the Tree of Life and the difference and similarities with Crowley.
Yeah, I don't think we have that particular one, but that was anyway. There's too much to say about that, so I'll let that stand at the moment. But Crowley took his own path, but he still kept the Tree of Life in his scheme all the way to the end of his stuff after his books of Thelema and the magical texts that he considered Class A that were dictated to him. So he felt it was wrong to change a single letter. So those are all based on the Tree of Life too. So it's long and complicated again.
So Kenny says, hey there, Siofra and Ian. Hi, Kenny. LP says, anything to get him to move, a banishing spell. Okay, so we're still talking about the same thing, so you know where they live. So yes, the hot foot powder might be a good option then if you know where he lives.
Of course, you did the salt and pepper thing for that fence. The
I
guy
did.
ended up moving.
Yeah, he did. He moved on his own.
Yeah.
But yeah, so if you have access to the 5,000 spells, look in there for banishing, moving spells, and they're a good sort of basis to figure something out with. But yeah.
A lot of times it might consist of sprinkling something on the porch of the
Well, with the go away, move
something.
away powder, you want to put it in a place where they're going to walk over it, and that's what sulfur is one of the ingredients for that. And I actually had to buy an entire thing of sulfur, have it shipped because there was nowhere here I could buy it, being in a small town. But yeah, so you definitely with that one, if you know the routine where he gets in and out of his truck. Put it on the ground in front of his truck, and if you manage to get access to his truck, put it on the, where he puts his feet to drive, maybe. I don't know. If you can get it in his shoe. I don't know how friendly you are with this person or how much access you have to them. So usually it's like over the pathway kind of thing. And make sure it gets just to the person that you're targeting and not to other people, I would hope. So Moonfire Dawn says, I live in Michigan. Our town is a bit white supremacist too. They're really getting crazy out there. They're popping up everywhere. Jonathan says, bind him from the activity of drunk driving.
Well, yeah, that's a good approach. It can be harder to bind people
To stop an activity.
I mean, ironically, it's a little more easy if they're a little magically sensitive, but the more dull and insensitive they are, the harder it is.
Yes.
So you might need something that's just gives them a real knock on the head, but yeah, I agree, binding would be ideal if that's possible.
So Louisville wanted to ask, can women be ritual magicians? Absolutely.
I think the only thing about that is it came from the Masonic stuff where the Masons wouldn't allow women in. And it's really just a stupid thing where they wouldn't allow women in because there's 1 degree ritual where you have to be nude.
That's their excuse
and
anyway.
They were being prudish about it. But yes, it works the same with women as with men. And I haven't run across any societies other than the Masons that exclude women on that basis. So absolutely.
Yeah. And I think maybe some of the Masonic stuff had to do with the attitude towards women in general at the time as well.
Well, it did. That's
yeah. The idea that we're emotional, we can't string a sentence together.
Yeah, well, that's good. Yeah, when they put masonry together, they still removed women's uteruses for being hysterical.
Well, yeah, that was later, but yes, they did that. There's still a lot of stuff. So LP says hot foot powder around his house or mine. So we answered that. 5,000 spells, got it, thank you. I'll order it. You're welcome. Jonathan says it's excellent. LP says you guys are such a wealth of information. Thank you all so much. You're welcome. I mean, I know that these are issues. It's like, trying to figure out exactly how we can use our special knowledge and unique abilities to try and improve our neighborhood, the safety of our children and the people that we care about and so forth as much as possible. You still, of course, when there's mass stupidity going on like there is right now, need to be personally aware of your environment and everything that's going on around you, and follow your instincts as closely as possible when it comes to getting out of the way and not letting yourself be pulled into a situation where you could be at risk. Because life is dangerous. Whether we live out in the wild in the middle of nowhere, or whether we live in a city or in the woods or in a small town, there's people out there that are just dangerous to be around, and they seem to be emboldened at the moment. So those who are mildly dangerous have now become downright dangerous individuals. So be alert. We want everyone to stay safe, whatever you're doing. So, yeah. It is an interesting kind of thing, though. For me, when I did the video on spellcraft, or spellwork 2 or whatever, that's part of what I'm talking about. Is like, you don't just go ahead and make some hot foot powder in case you have a bad neighbor. You have a bad neighbor, which makes you think, how the hell can I get rid of them? And then you make hot foot powder. It's like, it's the need that kind of drives the direction and information and stuff that you need. So yeah. Jonathan says, the group think in America right now is crazy, like really crazy. Happy 4th of July. Yes, really crazy. And I guess happy 4th of July, although I don't care one way or the other about it.
Well, except we're going to have a nice barbecue.
Well, we're going to go to my son's place. Yeah. That part I care about. Yeah. The fact that it's a 4th of July means he's not working from home on Monday, so we can go visit him. And so, yeah, as Shay says, it is getting scarier and scarier with these emboldened jerks. Yes, it is. And the thing is like people's ability to stop themselves from doing something stupid seems to have completely dissolved. Some poor woman got murdered in a Subway because she put too much mayonnaise on a guy's sandwich, and he killed her in the Subway. The Subway sandwich place, not the Subway. There's more than one kind of Subway, right? But think about it. How incredibly dumb is that you get a little bit too much mayonnaise on your sandwich, and this is a good reason to take someone out? That means that line between thinking about something as a flash notion and the action has there's no line between them anymore, it seems, for a lot of people. They're really insane. I consider that a form of insanity. Moonfire Dawn says we have to consciously change our entire towns, and it takes time.
It does. When we first moved here, we did some stuff, and we buried some crystals in the sand to drain off negative energy and the dunes around here and things like that.
And started the Amethyst Crystal Web project to try and just assist people having some source of energy that they could use to inspire themselves.
Yep.
It's going to depend upon the younger people in our country to actually take the reins, hopefully get into power so that they can actually do something about it, because the Christian right here has completely gone off the deep end, and they're trying to impose their will on everyone else, and that's not okay. Certainly not okay with me. But hopefully on to more fun and exciting subjects, because those people just drive me crazy. The stupidity just seems so blatant to me and obvious, but Kenny says, just found a local metaphysical shop in my town yesterday. It's black owned and really close to me, so happy. Awesome. That's very good. I'm glad that you found that.
We don't have anything like that around here where we live. It's too small of a place, and
well, we've had some here and there.
We've had them occasionally.
But then they get harassed.
Rocks thrown through the windows and things.
Yeah, the last one had rocks thrown through a window, and then her business model was, I can't make any money if you guys don't come and shop with me, so I'm going to leave town, so you better come and shop for me, which is not a good business model. I'm like, hello, there is the internet.
Oh, that's true too. It was a bad. It was a bad attempt at a business. It
was an unfortunate method that she employed. Yeah. Sort of emotional blackmail.
The stuff she was selling was okay. It was just
yeah. But how many statues do I need to buy? Or crystal balls or cauldrons or whatever.
We probably have enough statues at this point.
I think I might. Oh, I don't know. Just a few lying around.
50 scattered around.
Oh, probably.
Here and there.
Talon says, I've been on a 2-year mission to clean up my neighborhood. When I first moved here, lots of criminal elements were thick as thieves. But as of right now, we don't seem to have the drug dealers. Well, that's a good thing.
That's good. That's a big problem down here, too. Meth especially.
Yes.
Meth and heroin.
Yeah, so the reason why we're making the poppet is the Mercury being asked me to. So I'll talk about that when I do the video on it and how it came about. But it makes sense to me. It gives him a focus, energy focus. Jonathan says, Talon is Batman. Oh, that's why the criminal elements are leaving. He's going out there with his talons and Batman.
I have bat as one of my power animals, but I haven't figured out how that integrates with me at all yet.
Well, you see things that are hidden that other people don't notice because your vision is unique. And that's one of the things that bats have. They can see, but they hear and see things through the vibration of them better than mostly any other animal out there, unless you happen to be a dolphin and use echolocation for that. So I think that would be how bat suits you. And also you're more solitary in the sense that
That's true.
You don't want to like be around a lot of stuff. You're not as social. And coyotes also kind of not that social either because they don't go in large packs. They have small family groups. And you're definitely
Which is okay. It makes it difficult for me sometimes, but yes, I'm definitely not that social.
So yeah. So that's my instant reading of why bats for you. So there.
Like a little coyote with wings.
Yes. So LP says, I found an honest-to-goodness, reasonably priced, full-size cast-iron cauldron at an antique mall last week. I'm so excited it even has feet. Yeah, it needs to have feet. Cool. My personal opinion. Feet is important for a cauldron. Then you can stand it on something instead of having to hang it. So awesome. Good for you. It's nice to get a big cauldron. Moonfire Dawn says a bat is like a little coyote with wings. Yes.
I thought it maybe it just meant I was batty, but I knew that already.
I think that's just one of those words that has nothing to do with actual bats. But I know we've told you guys about the bat that buzzed him during the day when he was swimming in the lake. This bat comes out of the woods, and I was on a rock, so I saw the whole thing, and came right around his head and started circling around the top of his head like that, and then dove down and just went, phoom, and then went to the other side of the lake, and he didn't even notice it was there. Moonfire Dawn says, socializing is literally painful for some of us. Yes. Louisville says, Ian, being social is overrated. Yeah, because, people that are social animals, social butterflies or whatever, they seem from this side of things anyway to be more concerned with how people perceive them than...
Oh, that's true. There's that whole
issue, and that's
yeah.
definitely one of the things we don't have. Is like,
rather than authenticity, they want to make people perceive them a certain way.
Yes, all the influencers that are out there.
I always figured just the opposite. Make yourself the way you want to be and make it genuine. Don't pretend to be. I mean, if you want to convey an impression to somebody, actually become that thing, and then convey it genuinely. Don't, pretend.
So Moonfire Dawn says, awesome, you saw a bat in daylight. I have, but it's rare. LP says, it is. I knew of people during the COVID lockdowns who were actually relieved. Oh, yeah. I mean, they say you have to stay home and you're not allowed to socialize with a bunch of group of people and even your family. And we're like, awesome. So this is fantastic. We get to just hang out with each other and not have to go to a birthday party or whatever else might be happening as a reason to be social.
Well,
so,
I've been diagnosed with a bit of agoraphobia regardless of people and things like that too, so that plays into mine.
Well,
so yeah.
Well, I got to do some of that when I lived up north in the middle of the woods. So I was like in isolation, as it were, on purpose, as well as because of the environment that I was in. And it was very helpful for my mental, spiritual development, getting to know who I was without all the distractions. Because it's easy to be distracted. Of course, I know I'm easily distracted by things that glitter and sparkle. Pretty, ooh, look. But yeah, it's balance, of course, is the important part, and having the people around you that you can trust that know who you are and aren't going to misunderstand everything you say. Because whenever you meet someone else, there's always their field of experience and the things they're looking for in other people or waiting to have happen to them because of something that happened to them in the past. And so they're more likely to like interpret your actions from that place than someone that knows you really well, knows who you are. Talent says, apart from my coworkers, I am very antisocial. I just don't like most people. I like who I am, but not many people make the cut. Yeah, we're kind of like that too.
Yeah, I've been trying to work on it myself because I don't want to have negative attitudes, but at the moment I feel pretty much that same exact way. But I'm hoping I'll be able to get over that at some point and at least be comfortable around other people, even if I don't really desire to engage in their subjects like football. I don't watch sports. I'm not a sports person. Things like that.
So LP says, Talon, I'm wondering, do you feel better with animals? I know I do. Moonfire Dawn says, since my divorce and getting my own place, it really hit me to have to create my own little world. I have Tourette's and stuff and became agoraphobic before I met my wife. It is a challenge. Louisville says, throughout my life, people want to change me and force me to smile, literally. Oh, I hate that. Because my RBF is intimidating or even offensive. Too bad for these people.
What is RBF?
That's what I was going to ask. Can you tell us what RBF stands for? Since that's not one of the acronyms I'm particularly familiar with. Louisville says, I smile when I have a real reason to smile. Yeah. And when someone says, you know, you'd look a lot prettier if you would just smile, makes me want to smack them.
Yeah, it makes you want to frown, doesn't it?
It really makes me want to smack them. Yep. I'm like, really? My son almost got that one day when he was visiting a number of years ago. I was just, mildly ranting at some stupid thing my computer was doing. Mom, now take a deep breath, let it out and just relax. You don't want to be angry. And I thought to myself, I'm not angry. And I'm looking at him and I'm thinking, but I'm about to be. Because who the hell do you think you are to tell me how I should feel? He was lucky. I'm like, okay now. Dallin says that LP, I work professionally as an animal trainer at a zoo. Oh, you're the one with the fox, right? Talon's the person with the fox. Teal says, hello from Michigan. Hi, Teals. Lulu says, resting bitch face. Okay. I guess I wasn't supposed to say the B part.
Well, hey.
Me too.
Too late to censor you now.
I know, it's too late. It's out. Moonfire Dawn says, I'm grateful to be in my own place now. I think my reclusive tendencies were more instinct than dysfunction. Well, yeah, protecting yourself.
Yeah, I don't think mine
trying
are
to stay
so
away
much,
from irritants.
Yeah, I don't feel like mine are dysfunction so much, but trying to become enlightened, that's my goal. So that means not excluding people from that and other individuals, regardless of whether I like them or not. Yeah.
Well, when I'm feeling really down,
concept.
One of the things I like to do is watch animal videos and people helping animal videos. That helps to give me a hope that there's good and kind and generous people out there who are paying attention when they see something that's suddenly helpless and in trouble, and they go out of their way.
We just need them to come to the forefront and be noticed, and make it so that everybody's ashamed to not be a nice person or something. It's like,
well, some people try to tell you that that's a weakness of some kind.
Well, in our society, it's anti-success in our society to not be the big jerk and the fiery take charge and command of everything is to fail in our society.
It's true.
To pitch yourself against others, that's the basis of it. pit yourself against others in society, and they call it competition, but yeah, basically it's just an ego boosting thing, and pitting yourself against others is entirely the wrong way to live. And they pit themselves against the world and against nature. Be in harmony. Sorry, that's one of my pet peeves.
Oh, he says, I thought mine was dysfunction until I learned I was an empath, and then it all made more sense. Yes, it definitely, you have to, decide when you're going to go expose yourself to a whole pile of people that you may not know. Phoenix Claw says, Siofra, should I sell my car because the gas prices are high? I don't know. Does your car still work? I mean, you need a car? I mean, that's entirely up to you. Moonfire Dawn says, I've been watching funny pet videos. My mom and I really bonded over that recently. Yes, that's good. Mm-hmm. Phoenix Claw says, LP, empaths will red pill humanity very shortly.
Nice reference. I like that.
Louisville says, 100% agree, Ian. Yeah, it's like sociopaths love to try and let you know that if you're kind and generous and trusting, then there's something wrong with that, because the sociopath wants to turn everything around and make it your fault. So if they lie to you and trick you, then they turn that back to you and say, well, if you weren't so naive and trusting, you never would have believed a word I said, which I find an interesting tactic. Instead of taking responsibility for being a lying a-hole, which they're not, taking responsibility. Moonfire Dawn says, harmony, yes, I even say hi to plants. Yes.
Me too. Yep.
Robin says, hi, I saw Ian's Tree of Life, but have to watch all of it this evening. Thank you, Ian, for taking the time.
You're welcome.
Phoenix Claw says, one thing narcissists don't like is for us to transmute their crap. Do it and wait and see their reaction. Adorable. Yeah, when they suddenly realize that they don't have the power base that they thought they did and they're losing their grip on someone, they get kind of antsy.
They get mad.
Yeah.
Angry.
They show their true colors, because most of the time they're pretty controlled when it comes to their emotions. But yeah, manipulation. Talon says, yes, I'm the guy with the fox. Okay. I know someone who really likes foxes who's on right now. Phoenix Claw says, yes, Moonfire, plants do listen. I had proof of that recently. Cool.
Go on.
We're listening.
Tell us more.
3D box?
3D box?
I don't know what that means. Must relate to something I said, and I don't know what it means. That's right. We're sometimes behind the curve in our conversations because we don't remember what we said 10 minutes ago. Well, it is like they can know our language. It's simply amazing. Plants.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is definitely interesting. I actually just harvested some juniper from where I work, and I didn't have anything with me in particular to give as an offering. So I actually went through the building and found a glass jar and filled it with water. I didn't want to have anyone else's cup or anything like that because I didn't want someone else's energy. I figured an empty glass jar was probably about as neutral as I could find. And then talked to the tree and told it what I was up to and so forth, and then poured the water on its roots when I was finished cutting to thank it. So it doesn't have to be something elaborate. It can be something pretty simple.
Yeah.
Just a gesture, so it knows that you're not taking them for granted.
Yeah.
Talon says, Oklahoma gets some really gnarly storms in spring. I found my fox after one such storm. Ah, you're in Oklahoma, are you? Guess we'll find out. Because we might be going to Oklahoma in a couple of years.
We might.
That's where we're going to go.
Oh, right. Okay, I remember.
I think it's Oklahoma. No, wait, it's Arkansas. Never mind.
Okay.
It's like, I don't know my states. What can I say? LP says, is it the Encyclopedia 5,000 Spells? Yes, it is. Just want to make sure I'm buying the right book. That is the right book. You have to just be cautious when using those things because she doesn't say anything about ethics in there at all. It's all entirely up to you. Phoenix Claw says, yes, Siofra, glad you mentioned water. If you supply water, and I was about to mention it, they like water and communication is easier. Yeah, and when you don't have anything else, it's nice and basic and usually easy to come by. Robin says, we feel happy when we help others, and I believe plants do too. They get lonely when we ignore them. Well, yeah, they like to be acknowledged. I believe that for sure. Phoenix says, best way to talk to plants, believe. If you don't believe, they will detect you don't believe and not talk.
A little bit on that. It's since they don't really understand human language, what they get are the concepts behind the language.
Feelings.
Yeah, and heart feelings. So, yeah, it's not so much about the language. It's about the feelings and concepts, and that's what they pick up on. It's Barton calls it metaphorical language in that sense, because it's not actually the words, but yes, they do communicate quite well.
So Talon says, I also know his mama was killed by a tree branch that crushed her. Found mama first, then heard Rudy's whining. And Phoenix says, exactly, Robin. LP says, do you find that cutting sugar out of your diet helps with spirit communication and clear intuition? No, because I eat sugar, so I have no clue. In fact, I like regular sugar much better than I'm, it's like balance in moderation is the key to anything. But then your own personal biology and chemistry is what you have to look at. So if it, just because it doesn't bother me and it doesn't interfere with my psychic abilities, doesn't mean it might not work for someone else.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. This makes me think of a few of the Santeria things I have done in the past. And one of the interesting thing is it's usually like, a lot of times they use like cigar smoke and spray of alcohol.
Rum, I think.
Rum usually. It could be a dark beer depending on which
spirit.
Which one.
Yeah.
But somehow that I don't. It's not a practice I want to do at all, but it does somehow seem to get your third eye, the combination of the two things, especially if you're not addicted to either of them. It kind of hits your third eye, but I don't want it to do it because it's harmful effects on the body, and I think long term it'll dull your psychic intuition, but short term, for the point of doing it for a ritual, it seems to have some effect on the third eye that I don't understand. It kind of activates it at the time you do it. Not that that's here nor there.
Phoenix Claw says, I only eat organic sugar, but it's different for empaths. Dosage is very important. Well, I tend to eat organic sugar too. Cutting refined sugar really helped. Moonfire Dawn says, some fae I have met love sugar. Little honey buggers. Yeah, they like things that are sweet and they love honey.
Yep.
Robin says, I sometimes have a problem connecting to the dead if I'm drinking Diet Coke. Sounds weird. I noticed it only twice, so now I drink water or tea.
Well, you gotta watch out for the aspartame or whatever's in the Diet Coke. It can definitely have bad effects.
The problem with the chemicals that they use to sweeten things that they call diet is that the size of the chemical is so huge. It's like water is H2O, the molecule. H2O is pretty easy to write out. If you try to write out aspartame, it takes like a page and a half to write out all of the different things that are in it. And then as it breaks down, your body has to figure out what to do with it and where to go. And some people are a lot more sensitive to it. I can't do any aspartame at all. It gives me doomsday attacks. And it gives my granddaughter doomsday attacks as well, which is like the most horrible feeling I think I've ever had, where everything is fine and I'm just sitting there and all of a sudden it's like someone hit me in the head with a sledgehammer and said, all life on Earth, including microbial, is going to die in the next 5 minutes. And I felt it. And it hit me so hard when we were sitting in the restaurant. I actually fell face first into the table where I was. And it took me 3 days of taking it unintentionally in a vitamin supplement for me to realize what was going on and stop doing it. So I'm a little extreme as far as how I respond to it. But then, there's lots of other things it can do, which is why the simple is best. And so I don't mind sugar, real sugar, because it is a common molecule that our body has adapted to over tens of thousands and millions of years.
Still, I find overdoing it is bad for me in lots of ways. But
like I said, moderation.
Yeah.
Overdoing anything can kill you, including water and too much oxygen. So that's why moderation is important. Balance. Phoenix Claw says, but some plants understood my language. I'm French and English, and both language were captured by the plants. They really responded with the questions I asked them.
Actually, that was, I didn't mean to make you think otherwise. I intended more the opposite. Since they understand the concepts, you're probably a person that normally has clear concepts and ideas when you talk to them. But that's the idea, is they don't have to understand your language. They can understand any language because they get the metaphorical images and things behind it. Because they don't communicate with the words, they can understand any language or even just feelings thought at them, not just specific languages and things like that.
Yeah. Moonfire Dawn says, some spirits dig that puff of herb too. Talon says, I just did another painting where I have a spell in the paints.
Yeah, I've played with that in the past, but not since I started. Interestingly enough, I'm doing my painting now without any magical addition to it, though it has occurred to me to do it, but it feels more honest to just do the paintings. But I played with that before. I tried putting some fluid condenser in with some paints once.
Yeah.
Because I figured I'd charge it up, and the fluid condenser just condensed them all down to solid. It was the earth condenser, and it just solidified.
Plantain.
Yeah. It made all
does not mix.
It made all the pigments
with paint.
all the pigments came out of the paint and clustered in a
clump.
So
there was water and clump.
Yep.
You can't paint with it that way. Angela says, hello everyone, I hope you're all having a great weekend. Hi Angela, or Angel. Yep. Moonfire Dawn says, aspartame was intended to be a drug that was rejected, but they reintroduced it as a sweetener. Actually, it was a insect killing, an insecticide.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, it was originally made as an insecticide, and somebody said something that the person who was in the lab interpreted as taste that.
I do remember it was kind of accidental.
Yeah, and they accidentally tasted it and like, oh wow, that's sweet. So at least that's what I remember from the show I watched. But yes, it wasn't supposed to be a sweetener. Robin says, wow, so maybe the spirits were teaching me. Phoenix Claw says, yep, like both of us, capturing the nature of the words, but not the word itself. Alan says, I have a 3-hour drive tomorrow to get to Sulphur, Oklahoma for a tribal stomp dance tomorrow. Awesome. I think that's great that you're going to those. You wrote about some of them on one of our videos, so I really appreciated you sharing that. So be careful and be safe. Robin says, I did a reading once, and I told the woman on the phone I was sorry, I was slower. She said her aunt, who was speaking with only spoken French, the spirit was translating as I only speak English.
Interesting.
Phoenix Claw says, 3 hours? Yikes, I get dizzy just driving a car for 40 minutes or more. I lose my grounding in a car. Any other got this problem?
Oh yeah, we always have to stop. If we're going to go to Portland, which is about 2.5 hours away, we always have
5
to...
hours.
Well, sorry, yeah.
It's
5 hours from here.
Far away.
Yeah. We always have to stop, and we usually arrange it so we stop and take a meal, to take a break, and a couple of rest stops always.
I cannot handle being in an airplane. Talk about feeling ungrounded the entire time. I'm just like, where is the ground?
But yes, you can handle it.
Well, I did it, but I didn't like it.
Yeah.
I don't like it. I don't want to do it. If I can avoid it, I will not. No. But yes, we all have different reactions. Sometimes what you could do maybe is carry with you a stone that helps you stay grounded, like hematite or obsidian or something like that in your pocket. It might help.
That'd be a good idea. I find petrified wood works pretty well, and I only mention that because we have a lot of naturally occurring petrified wood around here.
So we had a funny, I don't know, conversation, I guess, with our crows a couple days ago. It was actually quite hysterical. So Ian got some peanuts and put them in the bowl to take them outside to give to the crows. I didn't know he had done that, but then all of a sudden, after he was doing something else at the time, I hear these crows. They're like really, really loud, and I look outside, and there's a crow on my front step yelling at the door, I think, and then another one walking down the pathway, down our sidewalk. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? So I think, okay, I guess they need some peanuts because they're coming to the door. So I went and got the bucket of peanuts because I couldn't find the bowl. And I went outside and threw a bunch of peanuts, and they were just kind of like, mm-hmm. Because I still sat out there for a while. I was challenging them to come closer. And then I'm like, so then Ian comes out from doing the lawn, and I tell him what's going on, and he says, well, I don't know why. I gave them some peanuts, and then we turn around, and there's the bowl of peanuts on the front step. They hadn't been released to the crows, which actually was impressive that they came up on the step because they knew that those were the peanuts. So now we're going to do an experiment, actually, my granddaughter came up with. So we're going to put the bowl of peanuts outside where they usually get their peanuts on the ground and see what they do with it. It'd be interesting.
Why not?
Yeah, why not? See what happens. But it was just funny that we did not know what they were trying to express. But peanuts, definitely they wanted, and we got that. So Chill Baby says, oh my God, me too. Oh, Talon says, I hate to travel by plane. I wasn't born with wings, so I'm not meant for flight. Chill Baby says, oh my God, me too. I didn't have the terrifying experience you did, but could never stand alternative sugars, including stevia, even as a child. And I just stick to white cane sugar for much the same reasons. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think stevia bothers me in particular.
It's just like with everyone. I overdosed on stevia the first time I used it because I didn't understand how it worked. But I can eat stevia leaf from the plant if I grow it in my yard and not have a problem. So I'm thinking it's a matter of amount. But now they're doing weird things with it too. They're turning it into another chemically modified form of an alternative sugar. LP says, I wear turquoise and obsidian every day. I find it helps to ground me. Yes. Chill Baby says, I love flying. However, the best things in life are anything that makes me feel like I'm flying. Cool. LP says at Talon, I know, and air travel is so civilized these days. I refuse. There's nowhere I need to go that badly.
Well, considering the way the passengers are acting up anymore, that's another reason not to get on a plane.
Yeah, I mean, if they let anybody on a plane with a gun, people would be shot. There's no doubt, considering the fact that that poor woman got killed in a Subway sandwich shop. That's just so ridiculous. Robin says, while camping, a blue jay landed in her hot frying pan and stole a piece of cooked bacon. Wow. Now that is a powerful bird. I might have that bird for your power animal. It's like, awesome. Aaron Jones says, stevia makes my tongue tingle. Yeah, it doesn't sound like a good thing if it makes your tongue tingle. And Phoenix says, LP turquoise is also a very good natural healer. Angela says, at Robin, sounds like the blue jay has good taste. Talon says, I've made friends with the blue jay. She lives in the tree right outside my bedroom window. And they're more assertive and friendly with people than a lot of birds. They seem to be, at least the blue jays around here, which are actually Stellar's jays, they're definitely not afraid of people. Phoenix Claw says, I had tons of dreams about gemstones. Boy, the things I could write about. Bep says, feeding crows is good for pacifying Saturn effects.
Yeah, I never thought about that connection. Saturn.
I don't worry about that, though. Saturn's my ruling planet, and me and Saturn are on good course together. Louisville says, I used to have an irrational fear of bridges over water. Panic, really. Partially got over it, but I wonder if it's something from a past life. That could be. My daughter was terrified of water when she was really little, and she still doesn't like it. If she is in a car and looks out the window and what she sees is water with nothing else, when she was little, she would just start screaming at the top of her lungs. And then I remembered a past life with her where she threw herself off of a cliff into the ocean and drowned. So I'm wondering if maybe that had something to do with it. Or maybe more than one, who knows.
Seems to be fairly common, though. A fairly common one that people have is bridges.
Well, that's because a lot of times people tell you that you're supposed to hold your breath when you go over a bridge, otherwise spirits could get in your mouth or
Oh
something.
well,
And that's under a
yeah,
tunnel too, I think. There's and then going by a graveyard, you're also supposed to
yeah.
hold your breath. There's a lot of
No,
places where you're not supposed to breathe, apparently.
people that are not superstitious though in general.
Yeah.
But I know that somebody we knew back in Medford had that one.
Moonfire Dawn says, my mom and brother flew to see my aunt who is sick and they both got COVID. Oh, I'm sorry. Mom got really sick. She had the vaccines but not the booster. My aunt has cancer but didn't get it. She was boosted. Well, people around here were getting a lot more cases right now, actually. And again, it's getting closer to our family unit. A member, a friend of the family or whatever just got it, and she was vaccinated and boosted twice. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, Dr. Fauci got it, and he's got to be like the most like cautious person on the planet. And I figure if he got it, we're all going to end up with it at some point. So being boosted is definitely the way to go for me. Phoenix Claw says, when a magician says to you, you have the water of life ability, what does he mean? We have no idea what that means. I mean,
Yeah, no, I don't get the reference. So
I have no clue. Talon says, Jupiter rules my natal chart, double Sagittarius with a Gemini rising. I too have a Gemini rising. I'm a double Capricorn, so whatever that means. Robin says, Ian, I'm reading Magical House Protection and Archaeology book. Do you know it? By Brian Hoggard.
no, but it sounds interesting. If it's an archaeological book, I take it it's about old methods that were used for house protection and things like that. Sounds interesting.
Moonfire Dawn says, I stopped holding my breath over bridges in Florida. Some of those bridges are miles
Oh yeah.
long. Yeah, you start turning blue, and eventually you have to breathe. Like, fine, spirits, come in. Like, that's what it means. And then the whole thing about sneezing and whatnot, too. Phoenix Claw says, Capricorn here, too. Welcome, another Capricorn. Robin says, yes, they found lots of cats in walls.
Wow, I didn't
Oh,
know
for
they
protecting
did
the
that.
house? Wow, that's kind of not something I would do, for sure.
But I know they did lots of things at times when they build houses. They put protective seals in or something under the foundation stone, or I don't remember. I used to know some of that stuff.
Well, yeah, and in some places they would kill the architect who built the thing so that no one would find out what was in it. And put his bones and his blood in the under the cornerstone of the foundation.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Poor cats.
Talking kings and things there.
Yeah, well, they're like, another word for a-hole is king. Phoenix Claw says, miles long, I'm there. I like DeSantis. Ha ha. Oh my God, behind a brick wall, Phoenix Claw says? I don't know. Since she's the one who's reading the book. Some of those things get pretty weird, some of the things that they do and did. And it's not necessarily something you want to repeat. But it can be interesting just to see, what superstitions are.
And you can learn a lot from that. My belief is I'm not a fan of history but I'm a fan of magical history, I guess you'd say. So yeah, you can learn a lot of things. And you have to have a good enough filter to filter out the superstition and the bull from it. But a lot of those things have some good basis in magical truth if you can get to it.
So Phoenix Claw says, Siofra, what is your favorite horror story or spooky? I don't like horror stories. I have no clue. I mean, I don't tend to watch them in particular. I mean, I watch some paranormal shows and that kind of stuff and interested in some of the haunting shows here and there and so forth, but I really don't have a favorite. I just consider it like research and interesting to see how people react to stuff. So yeah, I really don't have one. I've had some amazing experiences that people might think were horror shows, but they weren't for me, so.
Well, yeah, that reminds me when I wrote a thing about our cave that we went into, the mile-long tube for college. everybody thought it was spooky, and I got good grades on it because it was so spooky and good.
Really?
I didn't think it was spooky at all. I didn't write it to be that way. Yeah.
That was just so beautiful.
With the moths, yeah,
all the
it was
lichen,
gorgeous, yeah.
and then the moth wings.
But apparently, I made it sound spooky.
Okay.
So I thought it was way cool.
Talon says, "Where in Arkansas are you guys considering relocating to?" Not relocating. Going
Just
to
visiting.
visit a place in order to watch the solar eclipse that's happening in 2024. That's what we're
At
doing.
least theoretically.
Theoretically.
Yep.
We're there and then we're back. We're not staying.
Yep.
So, sorry if I misled you. Robin Kaler said in England, 14th to 16th century.
Okay.
Alan says, I bought a piece of land that's been in my family for generations, decades, in Arkansas. Phoenix says, really, Talon? It is cool. Moonfire Dawn says, magical history has really blown my mind. They have a huge sense of psychology and energy. Yeah, it is, definitely. Phoenix Claw says, I like the Tucson annual crystal show. The entire city is in crystals. Yeah, I've seen it on TV.
Have you? I haven't.
Well, when we were watching the shows about them, like the miners and stuff,
right.
they went to that show.
Okay.
With some of their crystal findings and stuff. So that's how I've seen it, is on that show. Robin says, I was born on a total solar eclipse, 1954. Cancer, everything.
Wow.
Wonder what that means. Spooky! That's what that means. So you're now my favorite spooky story.
Watery. Very watery.
Well, being all Cancer.
And especially during...
And being covered by the moon.
Yeah,
the sun is covered by the moon.
Talking lots of
watery
good
influence
there, yeah.
And maybe seeing in the dark.
Yeah, maybe some natural
clairvoyant
goes
sight.
along with lunar stuff, yeah.
Clairvoyant vision.
Yeah,
Me, they just thought I was weird when I was born, but because I had a anchor on my forehead, and I was born in a Navy hospital, and my father was in the Navy, and so they put those things together and came out with there was something strange about me.
I don't think it
and
means
it is true, but I don't think it had anything to do with that.
And I don't think it means you're boring, but watery is not exciting.
Well, it depends on whether you're a tidal wave.
You can't live without it. I mean, it's very important.
Well, I mean, it can be very destructive, tidal waves and
well, yeah, it can be.
And floods and things like that. There's a lot of excitement in water.
Well, yeah. That's kind of considered a fiery aspect of water, though. It's like a fire getting in there, and
or too much water
anyway,
just completely reshapes the landscape.
But it's good for clairvoyance and things like that, for sure.
So Lulu says a neighbor couple of doors away from us died this week. I used your information to seal our apartment. Oh, good. Probably a good thing. Probably it's not a bad preemptive strike there. Talon says, well, it's 200 acres and I don't do anything with it other than the 10 acres my house, barn, and greenhouse are on. That's all. Keep it. I mean, that's wonderful.
Yeah, I go hiking around a lot.
Yeah. Phoenix Claw says, Robin, I am sure you're not boring. Lulu says, thank you for your information. You're welcome. And I certainly have used that one fairly often, you know, in my different sorties and to trying to help local people and stuff like that. Phoenix Claw says, want to seal an apartment? Put on each wall of the place an amethyst. Believe me, it will change drastically the energy of your place. We're talking about a slightly different type of sealing. We're talking about ghost-proofing a house and making sure no spirits can enter without permission. Talon says, I have a small family group of howlers living on the property itself. Never seen one of them, but find evidence of them regularly. Cool. Robin says, yes, I'm a medium. I don't advertise it as my health doesn't allow me to do much anymore, just family and past clients. You definitely have to be careful.
Yeah.
Mediumship can be draining. Moonfire Dawn says, sharks and whales, eels, water's exciting.
Yeah, true.
Louisville says, I have all 4 elements in even proportion in my chart. My son had a dream about him before we found out. Well, really, when it comes to your chart doesn't have anything to do with what your elemental balance might be, because you can do that on your own. And we recommend that everybody becomes balanced in their element. It just usually means that it's either one that you need a lot of or one that's easier for you.
But being balanced in the chart is might mean you have an easier ability to balance your elements and more natural tendency to stay balanced.
And I was talking about the one with all the water. That doesn't mean that there's not other elements in her.
4 elements in even proportion.
I know. I wasn't talking about that one. I was talking about the one with the Cancer and the water and the eclipse and so forth. So, yes. Anyway, but I think that's good being balanced. Phoenix Claw says having some land is awesome because you can collect many natural ingredients for free.
Good point.
Yeah.
I'd love that.
And Phoenix Claw says yes, anti-spirit intrusions. Louisville says, I mean, my son had a dream about the dead neighbor before they removed his body. Oh, good. Thing to do then. He lived alone. Phoenix says, I used to use smoky quartz for protection in an apartment, but after some tests, I found that amethyst is better. And Louisville says, that's why I had to seal the apartment. Well, there's a lot of different methods for doing it, and the one that I explained is a fairly complex and comprehensive one, which uses a lot of elements, not just stones. So
I do like the amethyst energy though myself.
Oh yeah, amethyst is wonderful.
Its Akasha aspect means it's naturally balancing.
Yeah. Someone gave me a big, huge, giant chunk of amethyst not long ago. It's like thick. It's like about that thick and about like that long. Quite something else. Angela says, do you know if anyone has the ability to build their clairs, clairvoyance, claircognition, etc., or are people born with or without certain clairsenses?
They may be born with or without, but they definitely have the ability to build them.
I think so too. Definitely. Sometimes being born with them is not really much of a bonus because then it can get very distracting and it becomes a challenge in and of itself. So being able to learn how to control the abilities and then enhance them for when you need them is definitely key. Talon says, Ian, I just watched your video on the Tree of Life. Thank you for such an effort.
You're welcome.
Phoenix says, yes, that's the word. Amethyst brings balance. Yes. Robin says, I am positive anyone can be a medium. Learn to meditate, visualize a gazebo, walk to it, see who is in it. Yeah, some people are going to have an easier time of any of these abilities than others, but as you work on yourself and, do the shadow work and so forth and root out the things that block certain abilities and certain things, then you find that, there's more and more that you can do and incorporate and so forth. So, yeah, people can. Not everybody wants to, though, and that's fine, too. Otherwise, they wouldn't need us, right?
Yep.
But hey, mediumship. I was thinking about Edgar Casey actually yesterday. I'm not sure exactly why. Maybe because of my legs that were spasming and I was taking a bath at 6 o'clock in the morning. And I was wondering what Edgar would do.
Yeah, but it was so individual. It's hard to generalize anything out of his teachings because his healings things were so individual and the person
specific.
It might have to do with the actual place and the town that they lived, and their healing was very specific in a lot of cases.
Phoenix Claw says, Siofra, do you do candle magic and for what purpose usually? Well, I do candle magic when I feel I need to and for different purposes. I did an emergency candle spell for a woman who called me up that her daughter was missing. Her daughter was grown, but she wasn't answering her phone. She didn't come home when she was supposed to. I called up a couple of members of our group, charged up the candle, started doing the, to try focus it to help her find home, find the light kind of thing, or follow the light home. And while we were doing it, she walked through her front door. She called me back and said she's here, and then she never spoke to me again. Once again. It succeeded, and I never spoke to the woman again after that. And she was a client up until then. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
But, you can do candle spells for anything. You can do it for banishing, for cord cutting, for healing, for, it's a very flexible.
Flexible, yeah.
Flexible form of magic. It doesn't require much.
You can imbue them with things. Use a little. You can anoint them with a little some type of oil, depending on what you're looking to accomplish.
Yeah, we did a peace candle spell every fall equinox. We would do to carry the energy of the summer with us into the dark, so that if we felt, I don't know, despairing or lonely or whatever, we could light it and get the feeling of peace that we put into the candle. So you can store energy in a candle and then release it when you light it. You can do it that way. I did a video on candle magic. I'm not sure if I included that one in it or not, but yeah, I do what I need. If I don't need anything, I don't do any spells.
You can kind of do the opposite with a candle. You can either put something in the candle and it will release it, or you can charge the candle up to vanish something, and so that the more the candle burns down, the more a illness or a something, whatever you want to get rid of, vanishes. So you can use them in a double fashion like that.
So Angela said it, Robin, thank you. Phoenix says, Edgar Casey predicted we would find the library beneath the Sphinx, and they actually have found a chamber in the spot where Edgar Casey said that the Library of Atlantis was housed, but they cannot get permission to go there and look in it. The Egyptian government is blocking the efforts, last I heard. I don't know if they're ever going to get permission to go see what's in that chamber below the Sphinx or not. Alan says candle magics are so plentiful. Just pick a desired result and roll with it. Yeah, pretty much. And if you don't have the right quote unquote color candle, you can use white candle for just about anything.
Yeah, white or violet, black, actually. They're pretty universal unless you're trying to like invoke a bunch of nice white spirits. You probably just wouldn't choose black just in general, but it is a good general purpose color that's useful also.
And it freaks out people that want to get into magic when they find out that you use black candles. Which we're like, what? Okay. So Phoenix says, I guess in some ways candle magic does resemble to chaos magic. I don't see why or how in particular. It's just another way to focus your energy, to say your intent, to charge an item up, and then to send the information out to the universe. I don't consider it chaos magic in particular. I use to fix my eye right at the center of the flame and get fast results that way. Angela says, how do you know if you're doing shadow work properly? Well, you're probably feeling uncomfortable. That would be.
Well, that's a good point. Yeah.
Your first clue that you're doing it is that you're not feeling totally at ease with yourself because there's something nagging. But you have to remember when you do the shadow work that you have to take care of yourself and give yourself breaks. And one of the biggest things that I see that we tend to do, not just in shadow work, but in personal work in general, is we tend to take what we know now and how we feel about things now and judge our past selves based on that information, which is unfair to our past self. And Phoenix says, shadow work, I prefer to call it introspection. Oh, Angela says, hi, Siofra in chat. Hi, Angela. Well, I think that shadow work and introspection are slightly different. Shadow work is more of a magical operation that you're doing in order to allow yourself to free abilities that you have seen as being bad and turning them into something positive, turning your weaknesses into strengths.
Right.
But it's just a word. It doesn't matter what word you use as long as you're doing it. Moonfire Dawn says, now that I'm a city witch, candle magic is the go-to. Some dollar candles, herbs and oil, a rune or two, a baboon. A baboom. All right, good. Talon says, proper shadow work. Is there such a thing? From my own experiences, shadow work is meant to make us uncomfortable. Yeah. I mean, the thing is, the point of shadow work is to look at what you think is reality, your assumptions about how the world works and your place in it and your role in it. And if you're not looking at those things that started when you were a kid, if you're not evaluating your cultural context, your language context, your family context, your religious context, and really digging in to see what does that tell me about the nature of the world and how it works, then you're not really doing the work. It's a very confrontational in that sense, because you have to be willing to confront your core beliefs about the whole universe and what everything is in it.
Rooting out the weeds in your soul. How's that for a phrase?
Well, hey, I had dreams like that when I started going through therapy, where I would open up a closet door and there'd be a garden growing inside a closet in the dark. These wonderful things that I had treasured and saved and protected, and I was letting them out. So,
Very cool.
That was pretty awesome. Phoenix Claw says, Siofra, did you get some recent crystal acquisition? No, I did not. Although I'm going to go shopping to the local crystal shop to get some stones to put in the poppet. I've decided what stones I probably want to include in the poppet and why. But I'm going to go to one of the local shops that we have here in town and see if I can find some, or I can find them in my collection of stuff. But, oh, wait. I did have one show back up. Now, that's not quite an acquisition, but it sort of fits. I have a piece of apatite that apparently the fairies really like a lot because they keep taking it away from me. I'll have it in my pocket for like a week or two, and then all of a sudden it's gone. And then a few months later it shows up in some weird place. It just showed up in my bedroom on top of a book 2 nights ago. When I went, I've lost it now for 3 months. And so it came back. So I suppose that could be an acquisition of sorts. I don't know how long I'm going to have it, though. We'll see. I'm curious. Robin says she is captivated by
What's awfully close to Baphomet?
Is that Baphomet? I don't know. Talon says, I have some tribal elders that want me to start teaching the Chickasha language. Cool. Language is important because it's the way we use words that have those elements of beliefs in them.
Yeah, and I've often wondered how your language affects the way you actually look at the world. I am not good at languages, but I like the idea of learning one just to see if it can change my viewpoint on the world and stuff, because language is so tied in with our, well, everything in our culture.
Well, if you think about, like, the Inuit have, like, what, 34 different words for snow, because it tells you how important knowing what kind of snow you're working with was, that they needed to have a separate word for each state that snow was in. So language can really tell you something about the culture of the people and what they found important, I think. It's very interesting, though. And of course, we just speak boring English. It's got a mix of all kinds of strange language bases in it and just sort of piled together like, just a whole cauldron full of stuff just thrown in.
Though I have been wanting to learn Enochian, but I've been, apparently unconsciously avoiding doing so.
Talon says, I do all spoken parts of ritual in my ancestral tribal tongue. That would certainly connect you with your ancestors for sure. And the powers, the energies and stuff of the spirit beings and whatnot that were with your tribe. So I think that they would definitely recognize the language, and that would be a direct connection that you would make with them using the words.
Yeah, if it gives you a good feeling, go with it, absolutely.
Phoenix Claw says, some crystal spirits sometimes contact me. It's almost always from black stones like adirine, black tourmaline, black kyanite, and obsidian.
You had that happen with...
Well, I had that happen with the kyanite. It was the blue kyanite.
Yeah, I haven't had any of them. Nothing from crystals for me. Yeah.
I did find out something important the other day. It's a bad idea to be laying flat on your back with a heavy crystal ball of amethyst in your hands over your head, trying to read its aura. I did not actually hit myself with it, which is a miracle, all things considering, but it's also really hard to read the aura of a crystal if it's like this, and my hand is all around it, so it was a failed experiment to try and read that particular crystal. I have to set it up like outside of myself and look at it without my green aura surrounding everything. So That was kind of entertaining though, because I kept trying to turn it around, try and make it work, and it's just like, oh, this would be bad if it fell in my head. It's like, it's a good sized amethyst ball I have. Got it from India. But yeah. Angela says, when I use a larger ball, I lay on my side on my bed and let the sphere lay next to me and I watch it. Yeah, which is safer. I wasn't trying to read it so much as I was trying to look at its aura, because I've been looking at my crystals, some of my crystals, to see what kind of aura they have. And it's interesting. Some of them, even the smaller stones, have got very large and complex auras that I wasn't expecting to see. Yeah, it's like interesting to look at anyway. Talon said, I had a couple of guests over for Circle one night, and speaking in my ancestral tongue blew their minds. Yeah, imagine they've never heard it. Probably very few people have. Phoenix Claw says, the black kyanite I got was inhabited with a Gorgon-like spirit. She helped my depossessed self. First time I talk about it, very powerful kyanites are. I love the kyanite. It's really nice stuff. I use the blue and green kyanite for blocking people's energies and stuff like that. And I have a piece of black kyanite with my Saturn wand right now, so I'm using it to charge up, because I have black kyanite on and black spinel on my Saturn wand, and I was using it last night, casting my circle, because it was Saturday and it was time for Saturn to come out. Chill Baby says, oh, Phoenix Claw says, Talon, that must have been scary. Chill Baby says, I was an Arabic language major, and though I remember very little now, I remember being in awe, thinking about how there were some concepts in one language that could not be expressed in another. Yeah,
me too.
And that's the thing.
Yeah.
It's like, it is outside of someone's experience. Robin says, this got missed. Re-asking, my 16-year-old granddaughter practices witchcraft and she's become interested in demons. What can I tell her to help her be careful? Does she need to be? Well, if she's 16, she should probably not have anything to do with demons, because she's not very smart at this point in figuring out what the right approach would be. And why is she interested in demons? Because she thinks they're scary and spooky and powerful?
Maybe you ought to substitute it with something better. I mean, she could always go the opposite route and do the angelic spirits or something like that, or the spirits out of Barton's book or something, if she's set on doing them. But
God and Goddess mythology, or demons, the Fae, or
demons are only dangerous mostly if you don't understand and deal with the magical aspects properly, which take a very accomplished magician to do. So I don't recommend anybody do anything with demons, especially since there's so much nicer and less potentially dangerous beings out there who can do the same things.
Well, that's the thing. If you could pick 100 different animals to help you out with something, and one of them was like, a puppy dog or a kitty cat, and one of them was a tiger or a lion, and you decided to go with the tiger or the lion, there's a good chance something's going to go wrong and you're going to be in trouble. Not that there's anything wrong with a tiger or a lion, but when it comes to interacting with them from a person's point of view, it can be dangerous to your health.
Mostly people seek that for the power of the beings, what they perceive as powerful beings they can access, but they really should take the note that there are a lot of positive, powerful beings that are just as powerful and can do as much without all the potential risk, which, like I say, isn't really there if you know how to do everything right.
But when you're 16, you don't know how to do things right.
I consider that Western Hermetics, the Western tradition, does not know how to do it right. My feeling is that most of the people out there trying to don't.
So Angela says, wow, a Gorgon. I love snakes. I would have been in awe had I seen that in crystal. Angela says, it's funny how the topic now is about language. I was just watching your video on the power of words. Well, synchronicity, eh? Awesome. Phoenix says, true, Angela. She was 100% black color and her hairs were all black snakes. She was very kind creature spirit. And Robin says, that's what I meant when I mentioned Bahomet. Or maybe that's the name of a demon? Because we don't get up on the demon names
No,
rather than
that's
Baphomet.
yeah, that's pretty close to Baphomet though. It'd be an A and a P before the H, A instead of the E and a P before the H, and then it's Baphomet. But it may be something entirely different because there's only 26 letters in the language.
Right. And there's lots of different demon names.
Yeah.
Louisville says, as a bilingual person, I can definitely testify that operating in different languages is almost like operating in separate realities. Cool. Phoenix Claw says, she helped me in getting rid of a spirit that was attached to me. She was very fast in doing so. Robin says, thanks. That's how I felt, but I wanted to be sure I wasn't being old-fashioned. She is good at what she does. She collects bones. She's an artist. Is good. Angela says, wow, she sounds so nice. I would have been gushing with excitement. Robin says, yes, Ian, sorry. Phoenix says, indeed, Angela. So, yes, it is Baphomet.
Oh, okay. Okay, I see.
I think.
All right.
Phoenix Claw says, indeed, Angela. Complete surprise to me being helped by her. But see, there's a lot of things. It's like, just because something looks all gnarly and stuff like that, there's a lot of tree spirits that look kind of weird when you look at them because, they got just misshapen faces and eyes in strange places and bark and whatnot in some cases. So it's all about perception, our human interpretation of things.
Yep, that's
for
very
sure.
true. Yeah.
More important is the feeling that you get from them.
Yeah.
Not how they not how they look, but how do they feel. Yeah. Sometimes how they look can be a bit of a test to see whether you're perceptive enough, or if you're just like, automatically dismissive or prejudiced or something, I suppose.
That's like all the scary stuff Cully wears. It's all about getting rid of your own personal demons and things like that. It's only scary to those things that need to be banished. They're all symbolic and don't really, anyway, I'm gonna give up on that, but you know what I mean to say. She looks scary a lot, but a lot of it is just symbolism that's actually positive in nature.
Right. Talon says, I can speak a few languages, English, German, Chickasaw, and a little bit of Spanish. Angela says, do you still work with her? I imagine many things wouldn't want to tangle with a Gorgon. I watched Clash of the Titans, the new one. I wouldn't want to fight one. I rather like the commercial that they've done with the Gorgon.
How have they done that?
Medusa, the Gorgon Medusa, where all she wanted to do was have a good time and talk to people, but every time she looked at them, they turned to stone, and that kind of was like, dampened the whole mood and destroyed the party vibe. So she finally got some sunglasses. And
I see.
Then,
for Ray-Bans?
Yeah, I don't remember what they were, but then after that, she would lift them up for the ones who were being jerks.
Okay.
Like, okay, you're not allowed here. Just boom, there you go. You're turned to stone. And it was actually kind of cute. I wonder who came up with it. Robin Kaler says, I speak 2 languages, English and vulgarity.
Yeah.
Well, that would be me as well.
I'm trying to work on my vulgarity in general, just not to annoy people, but I have a tendency to annoy people, so I have to watch my sharp edges.
Yeah, well, it is the way things are. Misunderstandings are... Because everybody is, like, coming from wherever their space is, like we said earlier. Like, misunderstandings are not all that common. Phoenix Claw says, well, I never felt fear at all when she was there. Ah, yes, I forgot to mention that Medusa could also be her goddess name, long forgotten. Angela says, I speak 1, but I like learning words, so I learn 1 or 2 words of like thank you, please, and hi when I can in other language. And sometimes, if you, like Ian was talking about, learning another language teaches you something about their culture. Even if you never learn how to speak it, it still can impact your...
Well, and how they think.
Impact your open-mindedness and stuff like that, and thinking about things from a different perspective. Phoenix Claw says, vulgarity? Haha, well, I like honest people.
Me too. I like honest people in general.
There are some things that just deserve to have a vulgar word said at them. And WTF has been happening a lot. Even right now in our country. Every time I turn on the news or look up an article, I'm like, what? Robin says, I will send Medusa to my granddaughter. She owns 3 lizards and collects snake skins, so that's an idea. Sounds like a plan. Could be interesting. And of course, the thing is that the difference between a thought form, an energy body that's been created by a group of people, an actual goddess form of spirit, independence, and all that other stuff is always in there. Phoenix says, well, I never felt intimidated or scared because of her appearance, but I know it is her true form. So we're getting close to the end of our show. We only got like 6 minutes left. So if there's anything else we want to talk about. Phoenix says, I like to read about those ancient legends of gods and goddesses. Me too. Angela says, at Talon, I agree about Medusa. Oh, Medusa got a raw deal, unjustly punished by Athena for being a rape victim. That is definitely one of the stories that's out there. Apparently there's controversy about whether that's true or not. The Greeks are not happy.
Well, okay.
Angela says, or Robin says, my granddaughter loves those who got a raw deal. Angela says, I work with Arachne and I never feel afraid when I do. She's lovely. She likes to place her little spider children on me at times. Phoenix Claw says, Athena was a warrior goddess. Angela says, I'll have them randomly appear or crawl on me and just sit. Spiders, ew.
Yeah. I have a little bit of a spider phobia myself. It's
insects,
just,
period, not just spiders.
Yeah, insects, true. It's just one of those things I was born with, apparently.
Phoenix Claw says, Arachne, you too work with her? Oh my God. Robin says, I'm more of a Christian witch. I love St. Anne for her workings. Certainly some of the saints can be very powerful.
Yeah. Well, especially with the background of all the psychic energy over the years that have been built up
and put into their
them,
statues
like
and their
people's
stories.
Worshippers and things, yeah. That can be a very powerful force to tap into.
Phoenix Claw says, Angela, could you talk about your Arachne experience? Oh, well, we're waiting for that. Anyone else have any questions?
Last comments? Or...
I yawned. Angela says, yes, she is lovely to work with. So good humored, so much fun. She has been around since I was young. I always saw spiders, was talking to them, picked them up, empathic fear from family. Picked up empathic fear from family. Phoenix Claw says, accumulation of energy on altars, fascinating subjects. Angela says her myth was all over when I was little. So you saw it everywhere. Alan says, I have a pet tarantula. Hector is a Mexican red-knee spider, cheapest pet to feed ever, $1 a month. And crickets. Oh, yes. Phoenix Claw says, yes, Angela, me too. Since birth, a spider with 12 legs, not 8.
12 legs, wow.
That'd be certainly interesting and different. Like 1.5 spiders. Yeah, altars accumulate energy and store it for me, so.
The altar, the things on the altar. Yep.
Yeah. Robin says, oh wow, my granddaughter sees spiders too. That's a new one to me. Thank you. Angela says she greets me by tickling me and loves to send her children if family members are not being kind or there are unkind energies, her children's numbers begin to increase. Well, that could get you burned at the stake not long ago. Moonfire Dawn says, I love how numbers have as much magical power as words. I want to learn more about ontological mathematics. Shay says, love you guys. Thank you, Siofra and Ian, for all your help and love this week. Stay safe, everyone. Bye,
Thank you,
Shay.
Blessed be.
Get better. Rest your eye. Angela says, you guys have a great night. Thank you for the stream and the chat. Happy 4th, everyone, if you celebrate. Phoenix says, true, Angela, and they are testing us if we accept her children or not. Amazing dimension they come from. Be safe, all. Angela says, I made a bowl to do candle workings with her, and the candle dances and flickers as I talk to it. She's not scary at all.
Sounds very positive.
Sounds like a good match. It's like, that's the reason why there's so many. Louisville says, have a good week. Thank you. And my next video is probably going to be on the puppet that I'm making, so we should have some fun with that. Robin says, Ian, I'll watch your video through this evening. Love to you both. Enjoy the crows. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I hope it doesn't get too boring. I was a little bit worried about the subject matter being too boring, but it
Not
is what
boring
it is.
if you're interested in
Well, I guess that's true. Okay, I'll buy that.
it. And if you're not interested in it, you don't have to watch the video. If you would find it boring, and that's perfectly fine. All right. Okay, guys. I guess we got to sign off now. So, arrivederci, one and all.
Bye, everybody.